So we've gotten our first second of the season, and I'm sure it's not something people like kind of expected to happen. Especially the manager Erik Ten Hag. Getting sacked from Bayern, not Bayern Munich, Bayern Leverkusen, and it's weird. It's a weird sacking, honestly. It's really a weird. I think I saw it this morning, and I was like, I was seeing signs like, sorry, I mean, posts on Twitter where people were saying like he might get sacked and stuff like that. And it was kind of it was weird. It really was because I was thinking just 2 games, I think 3 games now with the DFB Pokal. 3 games into the season, and you're kind of thinking, it's not the best start to the season, but there's a lot of time to go. A lot of Leverkusen players, a lot of key Leverkusen players have left the club, and it's kind of a rebuild. He's starting from the bottom, and even Xabi Alonso's first season, he started from the bottom, and he lost a little bit of games, and he got sick. It's not. Again, it was not the best start. I'm not gonna say he had the best start. He didn't have the best start, but I think sacking a manager who is about to rebuild an entire team. Like, keep in mind, this Leverkusen team, key players, Wirtz is gone, Frimpong is gone, Granit Xhaka is gone. You could say these 3 players were very key for Leverkusen in winning, the title, and having the success that they've had over the past recent years. And they lost all 3 of these players in the same window. It's not like they lost one time in the same window. So it's kind of weird, seeing that. And they've got players for him. They've got some young prospects coming in. They've got some experience in the team. Some players that were there when they won the title, or also there's some experience. So it's a mix of young players and experienced players. It's a new manager trying to implement a new system. And, you can see them being shaky. I think they lost to an under-20s team, and, it's kind of, that became kind of a meme thing. But, I'm not really that concerned, because I'm thinking it's a new manager. It's a new system. It's a new team, basically, because, they're trying to start from the bottom. Of course, there's going to be some cracks. Of course, there's going to be some ups and downs. But to see him getting sacked after 2 games in the Bundesliga and 1 DFB Pokal game. I mean, I'm trying to confirm if they actually lost that DFB Pokal game. I don't think they did. I would really think they did, because most of the time, these Bundesliga teams get paired up with some really bad teams in the first round of the DFB Pokal. Let me just check. Let me just double check that. Yeah, they won their first DFB Pokal game. So it's 1 win, 1 loss, and 1 draw. For a new manager coming into a new league, implementing a system, rebuilding an entirely new team, that's not bad. 4-0 was a good result. They lost to Hoffenheim. I think Hoffenheim are pretty solid. They won their first game against, they won their first game against Leverkusen. And then they lost against, I'm just trying to check like their recent results. They lost against Eintracht Frankfurt. Frankfurt are actually looking good this season. So I don't think, it's the worst start to the season. Of course, they haven't won a game in the Bundesliga, but it's the Bundesliga is not as easy as most people, pan it out to be. Frankfurt are looking good this season. Köln are looking good this season. I mean, some other teams, Dortmund is there, Bayern are there, Leipzig and stuff. So again, it's kind of weird. And his last game against Werder Bremen, 3-3. I know they were leading 3-1, and then Werder Bremen lost the man, and they came back, won the game. Not won the game, got a draw, 3-3. But Xabi Alonso didn't win against Werder Bremen last season. It was weird. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, is there something else? Was there another reason as to why they sacked Erik Ten Hag? Because if it was for results, I think this might be the worst. This might be the worst sacking. This might be the worst sacking I've seen so far, and it's a very early sacking. And I'm trying to think now, who do they go for? Because keep in mind, they've bought players for Erik Ten Hag. I think off the top of my head, Eric Kwanzaa, Flecken, I believe he wanted Vasquez to come in. I don't know if, they brought in a player, Kofane. They brought in some really interesting, players to come into the team. And to see him get sacked and not even get to use his players is kind of, would kind of remind him of the time he was at Manchester United, where they spent like 200 million on him in the summer, and the season started and he didn't have the best start to the season, and then they sacked him. It was weird. It really, really was weird. I'm trying to think of what other reasons there could be for the sacking of Erik Ten Hag, in this situation, because I'm really not finding any other reason other than they were dropping points. I mean, 5 points off the top, 1 point in 2 games. 1 point from six. It's not the worst. I mean, we have teams like Manchester City who haven't won a game this season. I don't think. Newcastle, like, it's very early. That's my first reason. It's very early in the season. He has bought players. It's a rebuild. If this is 10 games into the season and he doesn't have, he's not in the top four, he's not in the top six, maybe you start to question him. Maybe you start to think, why are we not in the top six? But even then, it's still not the best situation to sack him, because keep in mind again, they have sold majority of the players in the team. They have sold majority of the key players in the team that have held the team down and gotten them to where they have been over the past few seasons over Alonso. And I don't think Leverkusen are also realizing Alonso is a top manager at this point. What Alonso did at Leverkusen, I don't think is ever going to be replicated. I don't think it's ever been replicated by any German manager. I don't think Pep went undefeated with Bayern Munich. So what Alonso did for Leverkusen, I don't think will ever be replicated by any manager in the German league. So he's clearly a top manager. Erik Ten Hag, he's a good manager, but not a top manager. Or did they not know what they were going in for when they went for Ten Hag? Did they think he was going to come in and be an instant success? It's weird. Again, very, very weird sacking. But it is the first sacking of the season. It'll be interesting to see who they go for, because the next manager coming in will have to, take a hold of these players who, keep in mind again, these players are not going to be good enough to push for the title. I don't know. It's kind of giving me like FIFA manager career vibes. Like, the board have high expectations for a team that is not really up there at the moment. They have lost key players. I don't think, like, I'm going to show you guys some screenshots of the current, Leverkusen team, or the team that played 3-3 against Werder Bremen. Apart from Grimaldo and maybe Tapsoba and Patrick Schick, I don't see anyone in this team that can really be, classified as a top player. And even, Flecken and Schick, I don't think they're classified as top players. Grimaldo is the only one I'll look at and be like, okay, he's a top player, he's a top left back. But apart from that, I don't think anyone here can be classified as a top player. So it's weird. I'm trying to think of, who the next manager will be, because there are not a lot of managers out of jobs. I mean, Xavi is a good shout. He's a manager that can come in and rebuild a team. I think Xavi could be a good shout. But yeah, again, I would like to see who's going to come in, because if you're coming in as a new manager, you'd be looking at this team and be thinking, if Erik Ten Hag got sacked for having this team and getting 1 point from 6, with a fully rebuilt team, learning a new system. I mean, he's had a preseason with them. He has had a full preseason with the Leverkusen team. So what? That's all down the drain? Again, it's a weird one. It's a really, really weird one. A weird sacking. But yeah, let's have a look. Let's keep monitoring the situation and see who not Alonso, who Leverkusen get in terms of managers and how they're gonna go going forward. And maybe sacking Ten Hag was the best decision. Maybe they get a new manager in and they win the league with this team. But I think it's very, very, very highly unlikely, because this Leverkusen team at the moment, I think if you're getting European football with this Leverkusen team and with the competition in the Bundesliga at the moment, I think you should be very impressed. I really, really do, because I'm looking at Bayern, I'm looking at Frankfurt, I'm looking at Dortmund, I'm looking at teams like Köln. They have 6 from 6. These are teams that would also want to get Champions League football. And I think Köln did well last season. So you're looking at these type of teams who have established players, who have players that have not necessarily left, and you're looking at this newly fresh Leverkusen team that is being rebuilt, and you're kind of like, what can they really do? Can they get top 4? Can they get top 5? I think getting European football with this Leverkusen team would have been very impressive. And, I think even winning a title, winning any trophy with this Leverkusen team would be impressive. Be it the DFB Pokal, the Bundesliga, or the Champions League. and second Erik ten Hag after you have Frankfurt next. You have Frankfurt next. You have Copenhagen in the Champions League, and you have Mönchengladbach in the league. It's weird. You're not gonna get results. A new manager isn't gonna come in and beat an established Frankfurt team that look gunning for the Blazers at the moment. So it's weird. It's a weird sacking. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And as usual, any feedback from you guys would be greatly appreciated.